Hi everyone, welcome back to another video dedicated to components from the early 2000s. Today we're going to be looking at the ASUS P4C800 Deluxe motherboard. And here it is. Here's the backplate area. And underneath the cooler, there's the 3.2 gigahertz processor we had in the previous video for the ABIT IC7 Max 3. We're going to use the same components we used in all the other setups. And once it's completed, there's a particularity of this board. As you can see on the left side, it has a third IDE connector. And here's the BIOS. The first page is pretty standard. This page contains all of the overclock options. Some of them are hidden behind automatic option in the menu, in the preference. We're also going to set the timings on the RAM. And also disable all of the devices that are not useful for our benchmarks. And it's time to boot into Windows. We're gonna look at some information about the board, the memory, and the video card. The last clip was very lengthy because I included every benchmark. For today, we're not going to include the benchmark itself, but only the results. And we're going to start with the CPU and memory benchmarks. And next we're gonna move to the video benchmarks. Here's 3D Mark 2001. The score, although a bit lower, is pretty close to the ABIT IC7. Here's Aquamark 3. This is a DirectX 9 test. Here's Code Creatures. And here's X2 the Threat rolling demo. For this one, I've encountered some issues with it. Once the benchmark has ended, the screen remains black, and I need to reboot, but the folder that contains the executable also contains the results, so we can look at them here. Next we have Command G4, and we're going to include the sped up version of the benchmark. And we're also going to include the Unreal Tournament 2003 benchmark. Next, we're going to look at the Quake 3 Arena benchmark, and we're going to look at all the other games that use the Quake engine. The final game benchmark on our DirectX list is Far Cry, and here's the result. Next, we're going to start with the OpenGL benchmarks, but we're going to start with Village, the DirectX version. And here's Village with OpenGL. Here's MDK. And TreeMark. And SphereMark. And return to Castle Wolfenstein. And finally, Serious Sam, the second encounter with OpenGL. Next, we're gonna look at a couple of games, and we're gonna start with Mafia, the City of Lost Heaven, and we're gonna follow up with Need for Speed Porsche.
What the hell is happening? Why'd you stop?
I don't know. It just broke down.
Jesus Christ, we almost have it. Sam, come on. Let's make this happen. Tom, get out. Go after them. Thompson, you and Sam shoot them. Come on, you heap of junk. Hold on. Sam, shoot! Kill him, Sam! Oh, shit.
Damn it, Paulie.
Damn it.
Oh, shit.
Christ, we're in trouble. Damn it. Come on, we're going home.
Christ. Three, two, one, go!
The last thing we're going to do today before the conclusions, we're going to look at the overclocking potential of this board. Since the 3.2 GHz processor has no overclocking potential, I switched it to the 2.4 Pentium 4 we saw in my previous video, the one for the ABIT IC7, and we're going to try to overclock that one. In the next few minutes, you're going to see me loop through some repetitive actions in order to find the maximum frequency for the CPU. And I removed all the parts until reaching 3.2 GHz, and we're going to continue the overclocking process from there. The cycle is pretty simple. I'm entering the BIOS, checking the CPU temperature, increasing the FSB. I'm also making sure that the RAM doesn't surpass the 400 MHz limit. So I'm using FSB to RAM ratio. After that, I'm entering Windows, I'm checking the CPU frequency, and I'm starting a SuperPi 1 MB test. As you can see, the temperature didn't increase too much during the overclocking process, and finally I decided to make a try at 300 FSB. And this is where it stops. Obviously, between 292 and 300 FSB, I could probably find an intermediate FSB where the computer would still post. Or maybe I can further increase the voltage on the north bridge or the RAM or the CPU itself. But for now, I'm more than impressed with what the motherboard achieved. Although at stock settings this motherboard yielded results a bit under the IC7, the overclocking potential was great and it really showed the abilities of this board. Undeniably, this is a high-end Pentium 4 motherboard that gave the ABIT IC7 a run for its money. The only thing I need to do now is get back to the IC7 with the 2.4 GHz processor and try to break the 300 FSB barrier. Even so, the P4C800 is a great motherboard and definitely one of the best for socket 478. Although I said I'm gonna include in this video a comparison between all of the four motherboards, the two AMD and the two Pentium 4, looks like the AMD haven't run all the tests and I need to go back to one of them and try to run all of the tests that have been run on the Pentium 4s and then make the comparison. I'm gonna do that in the next video. Thank you for now and see you next time.